Imagine a world where we have gender equality in and through the media. That is our mission at African Women in Media. I'm Dr. Yemisi Akimobola, your host, and this is Her Media Diary, a podcast that captures the lived experiences of African women working in media industries. In this episode, I am joined by Rebecca Mutiso, the manager of Accreditation and Compliance at the Media Council of Kenya. Rebecca's story begins in Nairobi, where she grew up in a vibrant household with her siblings and her cousins. And despite facing poverty, her parents instilled in her the importance of education and of self-advocacy. From a young age, Rebecca was known for her outspoken nature. And this early foundation really shaped her ambition to become either a lawyer or a journalist. And these were two professions through which she felt she could make real difference. So ultimately, Rebecca chose journalism, a decision that's led her to explore the intersection of artificial intelligence and media. With over 17 years of experience in the industry, she has witnessed firsthand the transformative power of technology and storytelling. And so Rebecca really emphasizes the importance for female journalists to embrace AI, not only because you want to stay relevant, but to really think about using it in that responsible and ethical way. So throughout the series, we will be in conversation with African women who are redefining media sustainability through their various capacities and activities. And it's our hope that by inviting these voices into conversation, we provide solutions to break down barriers faced by African women in media industries. Rebecca Mutiso, thank you for joining me for this interview. And Rebecca is the manager of Accreditation and Compliance at the Media Council of Kenya. And we are here today at the African Women in Media 2024 conference in Dakar, the land of Teranga. I realize that means hospitality, yes? So it's a pleasure to be here in person with you recording this interview. Now, I'm sure you've listened to the podcasts and you know that we want to know who Rebecca is before she became everything that she became. All right. So tell us.
I grew up in Nairobi in a place called Gatina, sort of a slum in Nairobi. I grew up with my two siblings and two cousins, who were actually very good friends. So when I was growing up, I was quite independent and very defensive of my family. I was actually a small, chubby girl who would fight anyone who touched any of my siblings.
Yes. We all love that sibling that's always there, ready to fight our battle. Do you know my sister?
Yeah. So everyone would go like, do you know who you're dealing with? I have a very tough sister. And when they step aside, they'll see a chubby little girl who would be willing to do anything to defend her. So that shaped who I am today. I chase my dreams with passion. I like speaking up for those who don't speak up. Actually, there was a nickname I was given. I was called Kasweswe.
Okay.
What
does that mean?
It's a Kamba name.
Yeah.
So it means the one who always speaks out.
Okay.
The one who is never afraid to speak.
The advocates.
Yeah. So basically, that was me growing up. Yeah.
And what was your household like? You said you grew up with your siblings and your cousins?
My siblings and my cousins, we actually lived in the same area. My dad is a pastor, my mom was a civil servant.
Okay.
And so we had a very, let me just say, fun childhood.
Okay.
We play outside and we were given the freedom to be who we wanted to be. And I remember my dad always telling me one day you'll be a great person because of the way you always speak up.
Yeah.
Yes, of course, and there were challenges. We lived in a lot of poverty, but my mom did everything she could. My mom and dad did everything they could to ensure that we went to school and got a decent education.
So permit me to take this time to introduce you listeners to AWIM Learning Platform. It's an amazing flagship learning platform by African Women in Media to empower journalists, media professionals, and anyone interested in media. We give you access to high quality, accessible courses. that will be relevant for your skilling up. And on our learning, we'll cover everything right from media ethics to investigative journalism to digital journalism and digital storytelling, gender sensitive reporting, a whole array of courses that are designed by experts in the field and tailor specifically to the African context, which is so important. So it's super easy to navigate. Just head over to www.awim, that's AWIM learning. So that's www.awimlearning.com to enroll and join over 2,000 media professionals who are already subscribed, already on a path for skilling up. And they are leveling up their careers by accessing those courses on Awim Learning. So whether you're a seasoned journalist or you're just starting out in your career, Awim Learning has something for everyone.
How many of you were you? Siblings?
We were just three. There was my sister and I and my elder brother.
Okay, okay, and your two cousins.
And my two cousins, Job and Anne.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So this was in Nairobi. What was Nairobi like back then? Especially from your eyes as, this young advocate.
Actually, Nairobi was safe. I would say it was safe. It was fun. You would go out and play anytime, and no one would maybe just want to hurt you or anything. It was just a wonderful place to grow up. And the one thing I see the difference between Nairobi and now is that children were given the opportunity to be children.
Right.
We had the playgrounds, we could play, and that formed us to become very people who could think, innovative, have initiative. These days, most places are just come up with jungle, and children have little space to play. So I think that for me is the biggest thing about Nairobi, the biggest change. Yes.
Okay, so from what I'm hearing, you were a very vocal person that loved to play, right? And so how did that sense of activism, I would say, right, from such a young age, how's that shaped who you then became?
Okay, for me at that time, I knew two things about myself. I wanted to either be a lawyer or a journalist.
Okay.
Those are the two areas I thought I could really speak up.
Yeah.
So obviously I ended up being a journalist. And so that shaped me into who I wanted to be and who I've become. So for me, I've worked in journalism, and I think anyone who knows me knows that Rebecca will speak her mind anytime. If you want someone to tell you the truth, Rebecca, and I've gotten into a lot of trouble sometimes because of that. But for me, I think speaking honestly and telling people what you think may not be in vogue, but it surely does help when you want to level with people and you want people to be the best that they can
be.
Yes.
So you had the option that you gave yourself of being a lawyer or a journalist. So I'm really keen to know why you went one way and not the other.
Okay, fine. I did not get the grade to proceed to become a lawyer.
And I tell you why I'm really interested, because at some point I was on the lawyer route as well.
Right?
So I think both of us were on the same journey, either a lawyer or media, or somebody in media.
Yeah. So I first did not get the grade I needed to become a journalist. A lawyer. So I got a C+. And so I tried to beg my mom to pay for me to go for the parallel program. And she was like, look here, I have no money. So it took 3 months of begging, and I finally got to me. So one day I woke up myself and went to town and looked for a college and enrolled for journalism.
Oh wow! You just decided whether you mind.
Yeah. So when my mom came back in the evening, I told her, okay, fine, I get it, you have no money. So I have gone to town. I've looked for a college, and I'm beginning on Monday. She was like, I still don't have the money. I was like, we'll go with you on Monday and to speak to the person who's in charge of the college. I don't care what you'll agree, but I will proceed.
Yeah.
So to cut a long story short, she went and spoke to the person and agreed and worked out a payment plan, and I began my journey. Yes.
Interesting. So now you got a background in digital journalism. You've been doing a lot of work and research around AI. And so I've got some questions around that. How did you first become interested in that intersection of artificial intelligence and journalism?
So I told you I worked in a media house setting for 17 years. So the last 7 years, I began noticing a change in the way journalism was being done. So the first thing I did, of course, is enlist for the master's program in digital journalism. Then after that, now I became interested in doing stories on technology and AI.
Yeah.
And the fascinating thing is that just about 2 years before I left the NU, I began working with Code for Africa.
Okay.
Really working with them in collaboratively to do a story on human trafficking.
Right.
I was still working in a media house that time. So we had not met. With Catherine Kisheru, is a very good and friend of mine.
Yes, I know Catherine.
We had not met at the time.
Yeah.
But we worked collaboratively using AI tools like Trello and Slack to do a very big story on human trafficking, which actually got me a second runner-up position in one of the journalism awards in Kenya. Yeah. So for me, I sat back and paused and saw the potential of AI. Using AI, actually collected a lot of data, not just for me, but also other African journalists who are also working on stories, and built up a database on human trafficking, and people could get data from it. So that was very interesting for me, and that's how I began becoming very interested in AI. Yeah.
And obviously our journey with AI and journalism has really shifted from the days of Trello and Slack being the main forces there. What are you seeing as the things we need to anticipate that we really need to think more critically about, especially when it comes to women journalists?
I think female journalists need to understand that it's important for us to gain the skills in AI. And becoming AI literate is not just gaining the skills and competencies in AI. It's also learning how to use AI responsibly for good, because there are very many ethical pitfalls when it comes to journalism and AI. But you must remember, AI will be a big part of journalism's future. And if we do not gain the skills,
we don't want to be left behind.
We don't want to be left behind.
Yeah.
So basically, we need to embrace it.
Yeah.
And I think one of the things in my study that I've done on AI and women is that women are afraid to embrace technology. And this begins right from school.
Yeah.
Yes.
I was going to say it's about initial access to technology also, isn't it, right? It's not just women don't want to do it, but there's that barrier to accessibility, isn't there?
Yes.
Yeah.
There's that digital gender divide that has been there from way back. Women and technology, they either don't have access to it, or even when we have access to it, we are told technology, science are for men, not for women. And the patriarchal nature of our society is that we have been told to sit back and watch and let men first do and then come in. But we have to be trailblazers in this industry. Yes.
Absolutely. Yes. And when you, given your role at the Media Council of Kenya, are there things that you guys are doing with media organizations, particularly around making sure that organizations have policies around the use of AI? What are your reflections on the situation of things?
Actually, at the Media Council of Kenya, last year we worked on a guideline on AI.
Okay.
Yeah, that was led by my boss, Mr. David Omoyo, and Mr. Victor Bwire. And now we are just about to finish working up on it and putting it out there for media houses to use. So we are very keen on ensuring that media houses use AI responsibly.
And one of the things that we always have to grapple with media is the progression for women journalists, right? The glass ceiling exists in media organizations also for women in media. You know, there's in our research you have cases where women are saying, apply for the position, but they said it's only for men. So you don't even get to apply in the first place because it's always a reserved position for. Do you see AI intervening in those kind of barriers that women journalists face in the industry?
Yeah, of course, I see AI intervening in two ways. First, if female journalists have the skills and these positions are coming up, then you are almost certain eligible for that position. But if you don't have the skills, then you are obviously out. And these days, AI is being used in the HR processes. So sometimes the first vetting process is not actually a human, it's a machine. So if you have a rich CV, then you stand a chance of actually becoming one of the persons they're looking for in that. But of course, we must be aware that AI
has its own biases.
Biases against women.
Yeah.
And that is why, for me, it is important for us to become AI literate in the sense that we are involved right from conceptualization,
absolutely,
design, and implementation of this AI tool. That way, we'll be able to deal with the issues of algorithm bias and actually be able to design AI tools that are pro-women or are gender sensitive.
So you've had an incredible journey in your career, even from your childhood, right?
Yeah.
And I'm curious to know, as you look forward, as you kind of really get your research and your work into this area of AI, journalism and gender, what are the things that you are looking forward to?
I am looking forward first doing my PhD.
Yes.
That either do it in artificial intelligence or my other pet subject of solutions journalism. I'm actually in the process of writing a book chapter for a university in the US with a friend. She's called Anikia. So that is the first thing I want to do. And secondly, I'm just looking forward to evolving in my career as a journalist. I know right now I'm not working directly with the media, but I also want to mentor young girls who want to enter into the profession. Because you realize as young girls, we're always told what we can do. But then what do we tell ourselves? We reinforce those stereotypes.
Yeah.
I cannot become a CEO of a company. I cannot be a leader in a company. So we grow up with those perceptions. But for us, for me, I've discovered, even for myself, I had to take years to discover that no one can tell me what you cannot do.
Yeah.
It is only you who can convince yourself you can either do something or not do it. So for the last 10 years, I have been telling myself what I can do. Like this year I purposed to present a paper. I've been attending this conference for 2 years.
Yes.
And listening carefully to what other participants are saying, and I'm like, Rebecca, you know what
you can do it.
It's brilliant, but you can do a paper and also be part of the exam. So this year I purposed to do 2 things. Come here and present a paper and do something on solutions journalism. And I'm actually writing a paper or a book chapter on that right now.
Excellent. So that means that in the next 3, 4 years, 5 years, maybe we'll see a Dr. Rebecca Mutiso.
Definitely.
Amen.
One of the most poignant points Rebecca raised is the digital divide that persists in society. Many women are discouraged from pursuing careers in technology, and which often leads to a lack of representation in the fields like AI. And through her work at the Media Council of Kenya, Rebecca is actively involved in those processes of developing guidelines on how to use AI responsibly in media organizations, and really ensuring that women journalists have skills to navigate this evolving landscape. And as she looks into the future, Rebecca is determined to continue her education. She's aiming to pursue a PhD and to mentor young girls who are interested in doing journalism. And she believes that by empowering the next generation, we can take so many steps further in breaking down those barriers that have historically held women back in media industries. So drop me an email at yemisi@africanwomeninmedia.com with your thoughts, and let me know if you'd like to be on an episode of her Media Diary podcast. To find out more about African Women in Media and our work, visit africanwomeninmedia.com. And in the show notes, you'll find a list of organizations that can help you if you've experienced anything that we've discussed on the show today. Don't forget, subscribe and follow her Media Diary on your favorite podcasting platform. I cannot tell you how much that clicking that button to follow or to subscribe really helps grow our audience and grow our potential of bringing even more impactful guests onto the show. And you can tune in to our partner radio stations all over the continent. And don't forget, join the conversation using the hashtag Her Media Diary.